My name is Ananya Tiwari. I'm the co-founder of Swatalim, and I am also an assistant professor in the School of Education and Human Development at the Texas A&M University. So Swatalim has been running for the past 5 years in India, and this award was actually suggested to me by my friend who works in a government science agency back in India. And she said that you guys do great work, and this is something that fits really well with the work you do with young girls, and you must apply. It was really just this, and I went through the application. I really liked it, and I thought we should definitely apply for it, and we won. We got it. So Swatalim has one of its programs which is called Main Bhi Curie, which translates to I can also be Curie in Hindi. And what we do is we bring together science curricula, gender and life skills together. And we've created a very rural, grassroots level based curricula for young girls. Now, these girls are also first generation learners, caste and religious minorities. They have high school dropout rates and early marriage rates. And so they also face a number of barriers in terms of not just completing their schooling, but also choosing science in their schools to study. So we, of course, have the curricula, but what is interesting is we recruit local village women to get trained on that and actually do the sessions with the girls in the schools. And then every year after the end of the academic year, there is a science fair where the girls display their scientific projects to the villagers, including their parents and family members and the government officials. We hire local women leaders who conduct these sessions every day in the schools. And the best reaction I got when I shared that we won this award was this woman Ankita sharing that for the last 2.5 years, we have been working very quietly every day doing this work. And it was so difficult for me to make my family understand what it means. Why is this important? They would say, why are you working on science projects with young girls? But now, because of this recognition, I can go back and share it with my people and tell them that this means something, this is important. And so I think really she captures what it means for us as an organization, for Swatalim. It's extremely important to acknowledge that there are immense barriers with every layer of marginalization when we look at the Indian, ecosystem. And it's very important to have very targeted curricula that is intersectional in nature. It kind of brings not just scientific knowledge, but also cultural norms together for young girls to be able to just have more retention in STEM areas through their schooling. So this award, we in fact now are at a stage after piloting to scale this work up. And we don't necessarily want to do that ourselves, but we in fact invite other organizations, other researchers, university professors, governments to use the curricula, to modify it according to their contexts, and then kind of take it to places where it should go, because we feel every girl in this world can be Curie, and that is how they should feel about these things. Yes, so Swatalim started in 2018, and in nutshell, what does Swatalim do? It works towards transforming girls' education. And we do that at scale by working with historically marginalized adolescent girls. These girls are first-generation learners, caste and religious minorities. They come from rural backgrounds, have high school dropout rates and early marriage rates. And essentially, our aim is to work with governments in order to provide curricula and training to teachers so that they have increased life and educational outcomes. In order to measure the impact and the change, especially behavior change that's happening with people we are working with, we not only notice, but we actually measure self-esteem, confidence, assertive communication going up. And that really has a very strong connection to scientific knowledge. So when a girl feels that she has mastery over subjects or aspects that are deemed hard by society, then she's also able to, in many ways, negotiate for her agency with her family members. And there have been ample amount of studies. We also have internal studies that kind of show very strong correlation between these two things. And a fun fact, in fact, so the schools we work with are nearly 2 decades old. But the girls, for the very first time after participating in our program, entered their science projects in government competitions. And these competitions were first held at block level. They were competing with boys, so across gender, across caste, across class, across the rural-urban divide, and they won. Then their projects went up to the district level, and they won again. And so that has been a historical moment for us, something that we've taken huge pride in, which is way beyond what we've covered in our sessions in the schools. To put it simply, I've also grown up in India as a woman myself, and I was very fortunate to be able to go to school, to be able to study. And I don't come from a very wealthy family, but I always had food on table, and my parents took really good care of me. So I think it's very important for me as a person to give back. And that is why girls' education is extremely important to me, something that I have been involved with, not just through Swatalim, but also my own research areas here in the US, very, very strongly. And so that's something that motivates me and drives me a lot. So my team, the team which has made this possible, I'm missing them badly today. They are all in India, and I would love to celebrate, today with them. The first one is Vaibhav, who's the co-founder of Swatalim. He has really pushed this program of Main Bhi Curie through his vision and leadership, always been supportive of it. We have Ankita, who's our on-field project manager. So she's the one who works with other women leaders, but also girls in the schools on an everyday basis. We have Kavya from Tara Foundation, our partner organization, and she has been training the other women leaders on themes of gender, session facilitation, and so on and so forth. And then our women team leaders, the fellows we hire from local villages, local towns, who go into the schools every day and conduct science sessions with the girls. So all of them, this award is for them, really. It is for them, yeah. I think in terms of challenges for this program, there are some expected challenges that you would face. So for example, just coming up with a rigorous curriculum itself, and that going through various iterations. So all of that has definitely been part of our journey. But at the same time, there were certain issues, for example, around menstruation or reproductive health, where we got a pushback from the parents as well. So when the girls would go back to their homes and discuss what we've been discussing in the schools, because these are topics that have never been taken up through a lens of science in schools, these were really taboo topics of discussion. And so a lot of times our team members had to go beyond their role to talk to the parents in terms of why it is important for the girls to engage in topics like this, or why this is science at the end of the day. So I think that has been like an unexpected thing that we have to work with, but that also goes on to show how community-oriented work is. You have to take everybody together. At the same time, sometimes the schools, for example, were not ready. Again, these are sensitive topics, so they may or may not want their girls to engage in discussions regarding these topics. And so I feel that also sometimes our field team had to work, again, with the school leadership, with the teachers, to convince them. And but I feel like these were like two other areas where we did not accommodate for, or anticipate for in the beginning. Yeah, I think when we talk about specific challenges that young girls, young women face, it's definitely lack of role models. And we in fact ran a separate study to see whether, so we had this list of local role models, people and women who have similar identities but who've achieved something in their lives, whether their story impacted sense of belonging, self-esteem, and self-efficacy in young girls. And just listening to their stories and how they navigated challenges in their own lives did in fact impact all these metrics. And so we do have absolutely like evidence-based data on that regard. But we also have a lot of anecdotal data, right? So young girls don't really get to see other people from their communities in STEM areas. In fact, communities where we work in, they don't see women working except for their teachers in school. So I think just this fact of seeing more women around you doing similar things, for example, pursuing science, it doesn't have to be big careers in science. Even small steps are very meaningful and impactful for young girls. So I think that makes a huge difference. Cultural norms, again, make a huge difference, which are a very important component of our work. Every time, I was talking to a girl and she said that I was just walking to the school and the villagers who she met on the way, they said, oh, now you want to study also, as if it's like something that you are not supposed to do. It was a sarcastic remark. But she's not going to have fun. She's going to school to study. And so I think just these cultural indications or signaling that happens is, again, like a big barrier for women to be able to pursue or even imagine a career. And we are not even talking about careers. These are school-going girls. Just to be able to engage in science throughout their schooling years is a challenge for them. Look, I mean, if you look at like gender representation, of course, we've come a long way. So it has increased. But to say that, oh, it looks really good, I don't think is the right statement. And so this is not new that we face gender-based discrimination at workplace, but it continues to happen in like more subtle ways, for example, newer ways, for example. So it very much exists even today. There are small dimension areas where it has increased. I know for sure that in general, like women workforce in India actually has decreased over the couple of years, like recent years, which is very counterintuitive. So I think globally also, that is a very, very big issue. There's much more work that's required to be done. At the same time, there are newer challenges and newer problem areas that are coming up when we talk about gender representation. If we want to encourage more women to enter STEM fields, we have to allow them to make mistakes. I think our margin for error is very, very less. And we've seen that also in the startup culture. So it's not just STEM, but it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. But that should not be a label that should be attached to women. It really hampers them. Also, there's an added responsibility on the few women who do make it to certain positions in STEM areas to kind of be representatives of the entire, women community. And so just that increases a lot of burden. Everybody's looking at you, especially if you're in leadership position. So one way to normalize it is increase the numbers, just have more diverse composition of teams in the STEM areas, but also be kind to yourself and also to people around you in general, men and women included. So just, having space to make mistakes and learn and grow. So when I think about an award like the Nature Estée Lauder Award for inspiring women in science, that's the title of it. I think I'll go back to what Ankita shared. She didn't even know. So Ankita is one of our women leaders who we recruited from the local villages, and she's conducting these science sessions with the girls. She didn't even know what she was doing mattered. And when you get recognition at a global platform, that is when she understood that she was part of something really big, that she was part of something that was very, very meaningful in the larger realm of life. So I think that is one of the most touching things about awards like this, Of course, we are elated to get it. We are very excited, very humbled to get it. But just this aspect that there are a lot of silent workers even today in many, many parts of the world. And these recognitions are ways to let them know that you matter, that your work matters. I feel that is like the most apt way of putting into words what it means to get this award. And in terms of advancing it, of course, it goes on. I mean, I would go on to say it's extremely prestigious to get this. I believe we are the only one from India to have ever received this honor. And so we'll make sure that we kind of rise up to it. And our plan is to make our advocacy stronger around STEM and underrepresentation of women in STEM, not just in India, but also globally. In terms of looking at the future goals, one of the things that we want to do very strongly is to take this program to as many girls as possible. And so we are, of course, expanding in India. We are also very, very interested in collaborating with different entities across the world, so a global expansion. And also initiate conversation like this in different platforms across the globe. So that is one very clear way for us to advance our work and on our goals in the future. For myself, I direct a lab, which is like a behavior lab back in the Texas A&M University. And I would, again, use this opportunity to just create and engage in more equity-based programs around STEM and women and gender.